the Chase Thomas Podcast, for people who have nothing but time to kill.
Actually leads the SEC in interceptions also through the first 4 weeks of the season. So it's with how shaky this quarterback play is, like, I don't think Peyton Thorne is the guy at all. But I think if it's Robbie Ashford, I think it's a lot worse. So if you don't have someone to make the defense respect the deep ball, like, there's no chance you can run on this Georgia defense. And yeah, so I'm with you. I think Georgia does cover. So I think it's like a 31-10 is like Auburn's not scoring 2 touchdowns on this team.
All right. Where are we going next, Matt Green?
All right, let's go up to your neck of the woods. It's I hear it's, what is it? Is it revenge season? This one's been brewing for a while now. Ever since last November. We don't need to rehash what happened in Columbia, South Carolina. But the Gamecocks come into Knoxville on Saturday, 7:30 SEC Network, as a 12.5-point dog to the Tennessee Volunteers. Chase, how do you see this one going?
Gone back and forth on this one too. When it first came out that it was 12.5, it was kind of a stunner. It was a stunner for like everybody in Balls media who was who felt like we all had a pretty good feel of this Tennessee team to this point. And to see that was kind of high, especially with what happened last year, what we've seen from South Carolina to this point. It was kind of interesting to see what Vegas and what bettors thought of this matchup. I also think it's kind of funny that this matchup is basically the roles are reversed from a year ago. Spencer Rattler is the high profile scrambling quarterback who is taking deep shot and putting a lot of fear in a lot of defensive coordinators' minds this season, that he's given a lot of headaches, that he's keeping South Carolina in ball games, that he's been the best quarterback in the conference this year. It just kind of reminds me of what Hendon Hooker and this offense looked like last year for Tennessee. Tennessee was a vertical, attack you deep all the time. Jalen Hyde, obviously the biggest guy here, but like Leggett looks almost like a carbon copy of Cedric Tillman. And you look at the way South Carolina plays, like obviously you don't have the same tempo as what Heupel does, but it's the same way of them trying to win football games. Is they are going to, at like 14.4 yards per attempt for Rattler last weekend against Mississippi State was bonkers. And it's not like he's throwing picks and they're bad balls and everything else. Like they are trying to attack you deep and over the top and really, really put a lot of stress on opposing secondaries. That's not what Tennessee is at all anymore. Like you go through it, like Tennessee has not unleashed that part of their game at all. They want to run the ball down your throat. They want to put the ball. Joe started last week with an 81-yard touchdown run on a QB keeper against UTSA. Like they want to establish the run with Jalen Wright, with Dylan Sampson, with Jabari Small, their 3-headed monster. Like that's the game plan. And then take their shots when they can, but it's way more of a conservative offense than what we've been accustomed to through the first 2 years with Josh Heupel. Maybe that opens up a little bit more this week with Cooper Mays back, who is not having your starting center all season long has been an issue with the tempo, and obviously you just need him back. He's one of the best centers in the conference and a longtime starter. You need Cooper back, so him being back I think will be critical here at home. Heupel at home is also a very different animal. And this Tennessee offense is a different animal when they're not worried about crowd noise and having to check stuff at the line and screwing up their tempo. I think it's just the floor is raised significantly. And we saw what they wore the black uniforms at night against Kentucky last year. They get up for these games. The crowd atmosphere is going to be great. I think the thing that I come back to is like, oh, wow, South Carolina, they're in the top group in long passing plays in 20 yards, 30 yards, 40 yards. Like it's everywhere. Like that's just what Tennessee was a year ago. Leggett leads the SEC in receiving yards. Like they're a good offense. I just think, to me, and when I was thinking about comparisons, like I think this is Vols at Alabama in 2021. I don't know if you remember that game at all, but Tennessee had some shots early.
Like a 7-point game going in the fourth quarter, and then
right.
Bama,
and then Alabama just kind of closed the door and got away with it and ended up covering. And Hendon got killed. Like he lost 4 teeth in that game where he got banged up with some big hits. And it was just, they couldn't make it for 4 quarters. I don't think
Hooker lost 4 teeth in the game.
Yeah, he got hit hard. Like he had this big shot and lost. Yeah, he got a big shot. And
it's
then
you
no, it's not what you want. But Yeah, so that
So
game,
that's
though.
what Tennessee's going to do to South Carolina. They're going to blast them in the fourth quarter.
No, what I do think they're going to, I mean, I do think that's what's going to happen is I think the Vols are going to blast them as the game goes on because the Vols lead the SEC in TFLs. They lead the SEC in sacks. I think this matchup, Rattler is going to have to go back a lot. He's going to have to sit in the pocket. He's going to have to take a lot of hits. And I think it's just going to add up. Like Will Levis did the same thing against Tennessee last year in Knoxville. A similar situation where their offensive line, Kentucky, was terrible. Will Levis, NFL quarterback, but like, similar situation where great arm talent, and then he comes into Knoxville and just gets pounded as the game goes on, and they have a good first half against Tennessee, and it just gets away from him. Danico Slaughter obviously killing that slot guy, and Juwan Mitchell picking it off after that, and momentum really got away from him. I just feel like that's how this game's going to go. This doesn't feel like 2021 Ole Miss to me. The Vols are number 2 in rushing offense in the conference. South Carolina is the worst passing defense in the conference. I think this is a get-right game for Tennessee's passing offense. I think this is probably the most complete we see Tennessee, and I think Rattler is going to get sacked and hit a lot. I think this is going to be one of those. They'll get a couple deep shots. They'll score a little bit on Tennessee, but I don't think that's sustainable on the road in this atmosphere. I think Tennessee, I'm going to say Tennessee 38, South Carolina 20.
38-20. So you got Tennessee covering. What did I say it was?
I think it's 12 and a half.
12-point spread?
Yeah.
12 and a half. So this one's 9-9 in the last 18, this series of Tennessee, South Carolina. How do you feel about the uniforms? The Tennessee becoming this Oregon of the Southeast, rocking a different uniform every game. How are Tennessee fans feeling about that? Are they rocking the orange helmets again? Or
I don't know.
Do we burn those?
It's a good question. I don't know. I don't know. They might be back. They might not. I'm not sure. But like the dark mode are incredible, and the recruits love dark mode. And you have a lot like Daniel Hill's in for this weekend, 5-star. Jordan Seaton, opposite tackles, in for this weekend. Like you just want like the black mode, the dark mode is just a fan favorite. Like it's just the black.
All the Georgia fans are just a single tear down their eyes when just. We wish we could wear black jerseys. Look, they're having so much fun over there at that school. One day maybe.
But I think they're all good. Like I don't think
the recruits love them.
I just don't think like they're fine. And Tennessee wore all orange last week. They wore orange and white, the classics against Virginia at home or at Nashville, which was basically a home game. I don't know. I don't think it's something out of it. They're all good. They're fine. Like I'm not really concerned. I think people need to get on board. It's just the nature of the sport now.
Just the nature of the sport. I don't like the two different ones. I think they should have gone either the smoky gray or the dark mode, not both. That's just my personal opinion. You know, that's just my 2 cents. You know, if I have uniforms are, that's where I'm going with it. So Xavier Legette. I would say Legette, but who cares? He's the best receiver in the SEC that I've seen so far. Like this guy is an absolute freak. And I think South Carolina just feels like that team that's every single game is going to be like a 1-score game this year. Like it's going to come down. They're going to be the San Diego Chargers or the LA Chargers of the SEC. I swear every Chargers game I watch, it just comes down to the very last drive of the game. So I just look at South Carolina and the 12.5 does feel low. I don't know what to expect of Tennessee. I feel like everyone overreacts to like the first result, like tangible result they get. And so really the only game that matters on Tennessee's schedule to this point is the Florida game. It's like Virginia, whatever, Austin Peay. No one cares about that. So going at Florida, it's like it's on the road, whatever. Joe Milton's first like start since he's been the guy, like on the road, like hostile environment, like there's a lot that goes into that. And that was not the best version we're going to see of Tennessee all season long. But I do look at South Carolina and I feel like this is a team, and I still don't know about Tennessee's defense. So I look at what South Carolina can do, and Spencer Rattler kind of keeping plays alive. It just doesn't feel like Tennessee's ever really going to put South Carolina away in this one, right? It feels like it's going to come down to who has the ball last maybe, or who can get maybe 1 or 2 stops. And to me, this feels like it's going to be, and we still don't even know that this Tennessee's offense is great, right? Is Tennessee's offense better than Georgia? Like, I don't know. Like South Carolina just
not
went
right
on the
now.
road. They just went on the road at Georgia and held them to 24 points. So and almost scoreless through the first half. So they were able to, I think probably the key, other than like blaming the clock stuff, is that Spencer Rattler didn't throw a freaking incompletion for like the first quarter and a half against Georgia. The clock never stopped. It just kept on running. And I think he did something similar right last week, was started like 18 for 20 or something like that. So if they're able to just kind of sustain drives and keep Tennessee's offense off the field, I feel like that's a way that South Carolina can win this game. But I ultimately don't think they can win. I think Knoxville, I think Neyland Stadium's too much, but I'm going to take South Carolina to cover, but I think Tennessee wins this one like a 27-20.
Okay.
All right.
I didn't think you were going to pick Tennessee here. I got to say, I didn't think you were going to.
You thought I'd pick South Carolina to win?
Yeah, I thought you would.
I don't know. Just going on the road, I don't feel as good. If it was in Williams-Brice Stadium, who knows? That's a different X factor. But I still feel like it's almost, if you look at like Florida, like they went on the road at Utah and just laid an absolute egg, and then they get a big time game like Tennessee coming home, and we saw the best version that we might see all season. Like they might build off that and keep going, but everything doesn't always go according to plan. And I think when you're at home, I think it's just it does more times than not. So I can't pick against Tennessee at home.
Okay.
But we'll keep it in the SEC with the Florida Gators, which I feel like this has become a rivalry in recent years. We got Florida at Kentucky, and Kentucky is a 3-point favorite in this one. And I was a little surprised to see Kentucky as the favorite. How do you see this game going?
I'm not surprised with the favorite because they're at home. But I will say for this one, this is my road dog of the week, Matt Green.
Dog. Are you doing something right now? Are you starting something?
No, I just want to say this is my road dog. When I was going through who do I like the most in our slate, the most on the road, I like Florida the most on the road here. +3, I think Florida wins outright, and I'll get a score in a second.